Right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Frequency Mama Community Knowledge Share. I'm Robin. I'm co-founder of the Frequency Mama Community, and I'm so grateful that all of you are here joining us live today, and for those watching this as a recording. These knowledge shares are open to the public and intended to give you a glimpse into the expansive wisdom held within our community members. These calls are also a gift to you to receive wisdom from all kinds of amazing practitioners, teachers, and guides within our community who want to share their knowledge and light with you. During today's knowledge share, we will be learning how to use pendulums to help us when we are unsure of how to handle a physical, spiritual, or emotional situation. Today, we are led by Anglea Marina, an empowerment guide and intuitive jewelry maker. She is here to teach us the basics of how to use pendulums today. Welcome, Angela. We are so grateful to receive from you today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. The pendulum is honestly one of the tools that I use most often. I have one in my clutch, one in my travel bag. And Robin and I were talking about this earlier. Once you have connected to the light and once you have used a pendulum regularly, you can literally use anything. I use headphones, necklaces, like whatever I have available to me. So it's just a really beautiful tool and way to get answers for things that you're seeking answers to. So let's dive in. I want to start off with how to pick a pendulum. There are different types, and it's really helpful to know where you're going to use it, or if you're going to have more than one, then that can play into. But I use a brass pendulum. This one stays in my clutch because I can't break it. I can just, it just hangs out there. So I have this in my little Lululemon clutch that I wear everywhere in case I need it. This second one is a raw stone, so it's thicker, and this one goes in my travel bag and I take it everywhere so that I don't have to worry about it breaking. And if I don't take that particular clutch, I know that I always have one there. And then this one is the more kind of common looking one. And I want to point out here on the bottom, the tip broke off of it. And once that happens, prior to getting other ones and not realizing the need to be so careful, when they break, if the tips break, you can ask it, will you still work? And it will tell you yes or no. This is my yes. So it will say, yes, I'll still keep working for you. So I just wanted to share that because this is something that is a tool you're going to be using. So let it speak to you. Just like if you're journaling, you want to spend time finding a journal that really speaks to you and fostering that, like, I love this thing, right? And be like, oh yeah, someone gave this to me, I guess I'll use it. Very different energy that you're taking into it. So picking a pendulum and knowing where you're going to be using it is really important. I have them in several different places. Then once you get a pendulum, it's really important to cleanse it and connect with it. So to cleanse it, there are a variety of things you can do. You can use sage or Palo Santo, and you would literally just use the smoke from that. You would hold your pendulum and just clear it. And I always like to say some kind of prayer, like, thank you for all the hands that this pendulum has been through in order to get to me right now, right? Like giving gratitude for that, but cleansing it. Another thing you can do is literally just immerse it in salt, like dry Himalayan salt, and you can just let it rest for a few days in that salt to clear it. Another thing you can do is if you have like a piece of selenite, like a selenite pad or a bowl, you can just rest it on top of it and just leave it overnight. And so pendulums, because they are helping and they're an energy tool, it is good to clear them every so often. So you definitely want to do it when you're getting the pendulum at first, but then you also want to do it if you're using it a lot. You can ask it, but they say generally like after 2 solid hours of use of a pendulum, you want to clear it. Obviously, if you're using it sporadically, then you can just test, but every time use it, just say like, will you give me an answer, can you help answer my questions? Yes or no. So it will give you, it will let you know if it needs to be cleaned. Sometimes when mine isn't clean, instead of like, this is my yes, show me yes. When it's not clean, it will do like a much smaller movement. And then I know, like, do you want to be cleaned? And it will say yes. Okay. I also just want to say, because I like to talk, but please like unmute and throw in a question. You're not going to throw me off. I just want to give kind of basics, but I love questions. And as they're coming up, I would rather do that than people saving them at the end. So I will pause with that. Is there any question about cleaning it or cleansing it? Okay, Ellie, you can unmute.
How long do you clean a pendulum?
If you do smoke, like the sage or Palo Santo, you want to hold it there. And then once it's clean, it will start moving. Great question. It'll start moving. And you can ask it, do you still need to be cleaned? And if it's still spinning, yes, then you can keep cleaning it. If it says no, if you say, do you still need to be clean? And it says no, then you know it's ready to go. That's a great question.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. And if you do a crystal pendulum, you can also charge it every full moon if that speaks to you, or new moon. Set intentions with the new moon of continuing to use it and then clearing it in full moon. So I wanted to share that. And then let's see. Yeah. Okay. So I covered all the things to cleanse it. The next really important thing is to connect with it. This is a tool that you are using for you. So my children have their own. They really only use mine if they're with me and they're, and I say like, yes, we can do this together. But otherwise, like, it's your tool. It's going to connect to your energy. So I would let it be yours. Something that's really, really important when using a pendulum, because what we're accessing is our connection to the divine, right? That's who's giving us our yes and no answers. And so it's really important for you to claim that you are of the light, and to claim that this pendulum that you are going to use is going to be used to serve your highest good or the highest good of others. So it's really, really important, especially as you're new to pendulums. When you haven't used them before, it's really, really important to keep declaring, I am of the light. Thank you for giving me these answers. And really just saying, I'm here to serve my highest good or the person's highest good that you're asking about. And I usually do a prayer before I use my pendulum. Very simple. I say, Mother, Father, God, and angels, thank you for your presence. And thank you for allowing me to use this pendulum to serve the highest good of blank, whether it's me or someone else. I am of the light, and so it is. So that is a really, really important thing at the beginning of using a pendulum, because if you don't connect to the light, it's just not as potent of a connection. It's like, well, what are you using it for? And so sometimes with kids, and Ellie, this is really important for you, when you're going to use it as a kid, it's not a toy. You can't be like, should I punch my brother, or should I, you're not using it in a malicious way. So it's really important. I know Ellie's like, I don't have a brother. But you just really want to be intentional with how you're using it. So saying a prayer is very important, at least at the beginning. And the other thing that's really a good way to connect with your pendulum is to carry it around with you. So if you get a new pendulum, I invite you to carry it in your pocket or carry it in a little bag that you have with you. At night, you can put it under your pillow. It's just going to strengthen your connection to it so that it will be very clear in its answers. And I invite you to not get frustrated. When I first started using it, it was like this. It felt like such a minor movement, but you have to, it's practice, right? You're strengthening a new muscle of using it. So let it strengthen and just be playful and lean into it. When you're connecting to it, after you've said your prayers and you've said you are of the light, you're going to ask your pendulum to show you yes. Everyone is different. Some people's yes, I'm asking it to do this. Some people's yes goes back and forth. My yes is a circle. Mine spins in a circle. And my no slows down. You'll also find when I was first using a pendulum, I didn't know how to ask questions, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But when I didn't ask a question well, it would just kind of shake like, I don't know what you want me to do with that. It wasn't a clear yes or no. It's like, try again. This is not working for me. Are there any questions about what I've said so far? Feel free to unmute.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you ask every time you need a question answered, do you ask them what yes is and what no is?
No, that's just at the beginning when you're connecting, because you want to be clear on what yes and no is for you. When I do a pendulum now, I just pick it up and it will, I don't even have to ask it out loud now. It just like knows what's in my head and it will just spin.
And you're spinning on right now, right?
And what?
You're making it spin right now?
No, I'm not making it spin. I'm just holding it. This is like the battle with my kids are like, you're moving it. I'm like, I'm really not. This would be me spinning it. I would be turning my wrist.
Okay.
But I'm just holding it and it's spinning.
Okay.
But again, like, don't think it's going to be this big movement at first. This used to be my yes for a while. Right. And now my yes it has gotten bigger as I've used it more.
Okay.
Colleen.
Yeah. When there's confusion, like, do you ever get like, yes is not showing you, like, is there a way that you reset it? Or is that more of the cleaning? Like, is that where you recognize there needs to be cleaning? You know what I mean? Like when you ask.
Yes. No, because when I get that steady thing, if you get that, you can always ask, like, do you need to be cleared? It will tell you. But for me, it's very distinct when mine just kind of hangs and like does a little shake. When it's like this and it just kind of hanging, to me, I have learned that means like you didn't ask the question well. Sometimes we're like, do you think I should maybe move to the, like sometimes it's that we throw more than one question in the conversation, in the asking. Do you think I should go to Colleen's house and then maybe go to my kid's game and afterwards have tea? Like, it's like, what? I can't pick one and then I'll answer one at a time. So it's really cool when you're getting to use it. Let it reflect something back to you. If it's like, huh? Then pause and go, is there a way that I could phrase that differently? Ask yourself, was that a very clear yes, no question? Because the pendulum works with yes and no. So if you get that, I don't know, whatever that looks like with your pendulum, see if you can rephrase the question or break it down so that you get an actual yes or no for what you're looking for.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Any other questions right now? Do you have a question, Ellie, or are you just making a face?
Well,
Okay.
Question.
Did I miss someone?
I
Oh, go
have-
ahead, Tracy. Yeah.
Do you stabilize your elbow when you're using it, or do you let your arm just kind of float up there?
I just kind of put my arm in a place. I don't rest it next to my body because, I mean, it does spin. Like right now, it's next to my body. It will spin, but it hits my bracelets usually. So I just kind of hold my arm in a place that's comfortable for me. And then I, you know, I'm not moving my hand. I'm holding it still and asking a question. And then I'm saying like, show me yes. So I'm not moving my hand. My hand is moving a little because of the weight of the pendulum, but I'm just holding my arm still.
And you hold it with your thumb and your
Yes,
Or-
good question. I hold it with my thumb and my first finger,
Okay.
and I hold it with my writing hand. I feel like
Okay.
most people hold it with whatever hand is their dominant hand. I mean, I can do both, but it just feels more weird for me on my
It's
right.
called a pointing finger.
Your pointer finger. Thank you, Ellie. I love it. I love the interactive. Okay. The other thing that I feel drawn to share with this connection is knowing yourself. Like, I am very much of the light, and I don't always do protection. Hope is a perfect example of someone who talks a lot about her need to do protection. Know yourself. When you are using a pendulum, you are opening yourself up as a vessel. For my like when I learned about saying I'm the light, I am of the light. If you say I am of the light, you are basically like, there's no darkness that could come in this channeling or this path right now, because I have declared that I am of the light. But if you're someone who's uber sensitive, who picks up on other people's stuff very easily and needs that protection, please make sure that you include that when you are getting ready to connect and use your pendulum. Especially if you're asking for someone else, you know, and you can even ask, like, if you don't know, if you need protection, ask yourself, like, should I do protection before asking these questions for Sonia, right? And it will tell you yes or no. And so then, you know, like, okay, before I start using it, say your prayer and say your intention that I am protected. Questions? Okay. Okay, the fourth part I wanted to talk about is the questions. And I already kind of said this, but how you word your questions is very important. When I was first starting off, I was very wordy and including too many things in one. I was like talking about the whole situation versus doing like the first step and then the next step and then the next step. So being clear, you know, what should I do? Should I do? You have to remember, this is giving you information to serve your highest good, because that's the intention that you've set. But you also have to remember that we have free will. So you can't later be like, my pendulum said I should do it. And now it's not, like, you know, life didn't happen that way. It's like, no, you're still responsible for your part in it. So being very clear on how you ask questions. And I mean, I said this earlier, but like, yes, no, break things down. Don't try to clump a whole thing together, especially when there's other people. Like, if you think about, should I go to this party because Susie's going to be there and Bobby, and I don't know if it's like, focus on Susie first and ask the questions you need about that interaction. Focus on Bobby next, ask the questions you need about that interaction, right? You have to break it down. You can't clump it all together. So no open-ended questions. Okay. Then another topic is, how do you, like, what do you use the pendulum for? How do you use it? You literally can use it for anything. Yes, it does teach you to ask better questions. When I first had it, I was like, how come it keeps saying, I don't know, like, what? And it just reflected to me. So it's a practice that you'll strengthen of getting very clear on what you're asking. And your pendulum doesn't need all the details of the background story either. You know, it already knows. Just ask what you want to know. Different uses, like, you can, if you lose something, you can say, Ellie, you could say, where's my bunny? You can't say, where's my bunny, right? That's a bad question. My thing is like, huh? You say, did I lose my bunny? Let's pretend it's lost. Did I lose my bunny? Yes. Is it on the first floor? Yes. Is it in the kitchen? Yes. Right? Is it in the basement? No. So it will answer it, but you have to go step by step. So you can use it for when you lose things. You can use it for picking a doctor. I'm going to use a color one so you can see it. Should I go to Dr. Bob? Yes. Should I go to Dr. Joe? No. Other things that you can use it for is, this one is one of the most common ways that I use it. What supplements my kids need and how much and how many days. It's more helpful if you have the supplement. Like, let's pretend this is a supplement. Do I need this? Yes. 1 a day? Yes. 2 a day? Yes. And don't go 2, 3, 4. Don't do it too quick. Do it so that you know what it's saying yes to. How, then you say, okay, 3 times a day? Yes. 4 times a day? You can keep going up until you get it. 5 times a day? It's water. So of course it's going to keep telling me to, right? But you can hold it. You can intend the product too, but if you can hold it, it's better. It's an easier connection to it. So are there questions about that? Like how to do, first you ask like, is this supplement helpful? Yes. Should I take it 1 time a day? Yes. 2 times a day? Yes. I'm going to jump here because it's water, so it's going to keep saying 20 times a day. No. So at some point when you ask a question, it will go from a very clear yes, 20 times a day, to no. And when the pendulum changes, you're like, cool, it's the last number that it was really spinning at saying yes. So for supplements, I say, is this the product? I go through the amount, like, should I have 1 a day, 2 a day if it's a capsule or something, or I do 1 drop, 2 drops. Generally with my kids, I do like 5 drops, 10, and then I go 11, 12, and I keep going. And then should I do it for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and it will tell me. You can also do it for yeah, Jacqueline.
Sorry, it's not really related to what you're talking about.
It doesn't matter. Go for it.
My head. Just wondering if everybody's different, but do you think the answers are coming from your subconscious, or is it coming from your higher self, or from like your guides? Where do you think, like in your opinion, where the answers are coming from?
I think higher self. At least when I say my prayer and I asked for whatever is coming through to be of my highest good, then to me, I'm connecting to my highest self, like my best timeline, my highest, most.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense, because it seems like your higher self would know the answers to these things. Like, where did I lose something? It seems like a quicker like connection to get answers, because it's just mostly for yourself.
Yeah.
If you're asking for other people, do you connect like to their guides, or would that still be like your higher self?
I say to their highest self. I would say like, Mother, Father, God, and angels, please help. Thank you for your presence. Please help me connect to Jacqueline's highest timeline, whatever will serve her highest good. And so it is. And then I ask questions for you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So on the same light of supplements, like you can do it for anything, like if you're not feeling well, or if you're any food or drink that you want to put in your body, maybe you like have eaten something a few times and then you're like, I don't really know if this is good for me, or like it's settling right. And then you can ask it and say like, is this good for me? Yes or no. So really for anything that you could eat. You can use it for the littlest of things. Like if you're picking out furniture, for example, and you have 4 swabs, you could be like, this one, this one, this one. You could ask if you feel conflicted. I will say when you ask questions, and this was practice for me too, it's helpful to say the prayer for your highest good, because sometimes we know what we want the answer to be. Should my kid go to bed right now? And it's like, so yes, right? Like, it's not really fair. So at least for me, when I was first starting, I was like, see kids, it's saying yes. But I'm like, I was kind of thinking yes. So that wasn't, so just know that, like, if you are actually asking for the highest good of everybody, then be open to what may be different from your desires with X. You know, you can use it for how to take the next steps in a career, but again, or a relationship or your health. Like, should I try yoga? Is meditation the next step? Is this the next step? Right? Like, and I said should, I shouldn't say should. You can ask the specific things for what would help you in the next direction. On the flip side, you can ask past situations, right? Like, was this relation, did I learn the lesson in this past relationship with my ex that I needed? Is this the lesson that is showing up again for me right now because I haven't learned it? Is, you know, you can ask questions about things in the past too, because you're asking them to help you now. Like, if you have a question about something in the past that may give you clarity about something now or in the future that serves your highest good, then you can ask things about that past. So, be patient with the questions as it's forming and coming, and then recognize this is a tool. It's not like a guaranteed because the pendulum said this, right? Like, you have an active part in it. Ellie, do you have a question?
Can you use it for like anything you're asking?
As long as it's the yes.
If it's a yes, no question, and if it's to serve your highest good, if it's for being kind and using your heart.
Not like, do I get this ice cream right now?
Right. But I also, like, I want to share, you just reminded me, Ellie, you can also use your body as a pendulum. I don't know if people know that, but like, heaven forbid you're somewhere and you don't have your pendulum. You can literally, most people's it's rocks forward, yes, and rocks back, no, but you can just start to train yourself. And it's just like an actual pendulum. It's small at the beginning. You may just feel a slight weight go to the balls of your feet, right? But eventually you're like falling forward. So you would just stand and say, like, is this dog treat good for me? No. Is this water? You can do this in the grocery store if you don't want to be standing there with your pendulum spinning all over the place. Like, is this apple good for me? Yes, you know? So that's another beautiful, like, it doesn't have to be the physical pendulum. It's the tool, it's the practice. So you can also use your body if you don't want to be spinning your thing around all over the place. Robin is saying oh wait, hold on. Ooh, I love this. Okay. Yes, it is a beautiful tool to connect with other people. I've used it last year. My godmother was living with me. And I was like, am I hearing my godfather, or is like my godfather with me? You know? And so I would ask, like, is Carl here right now? And it is a beautiful connection. And then you can say, will you answer a question for me, Carl? Like, can we have this conversation? You can also, one thing I learned when he was here is, my godfather, I was working with someone else, but she channeled, like, he was like, once a week, I'll do your questions, right? So you can ask, like, can we talk every day? Can I ask questions once a week? You can ask it that, and then you can set this time, like, does this time every week work for you? So it is a beautiful tool. I love that you asked and shared that, Colleen. So nice. And then Robin said, for those who are generator types, muscle testing, like you're showing, like I'm showing, is really powerful. Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, like, I wanted to learn muscle testing years ago. And I was like, I'm just thinking, I know that, like, it didn't work for me.
What you just showed was muscle testing. This
I know, but I'm saying, like, when I would do it, I was too in my head. I was like,
I don't like the ones with the hands either. And I think part of that is I'm a generator, and what is pulling me forward and back is my sacral, and I feel the yes and the no. So I was just saying, for those who maybe are doubting the pendulum, if you are a generator type, you have an inner yes and no you can feel differently than the other types. So you can use, like how Angela was showing us, to go back and forth. You'll feel this kind of reverberation in your own body that is a little bit, it's just easier for the generators who have sacral authority to feel that over the other types feeling the yes and no in other places of their body.
I love that you share that, because I always have, like, I don't even need the pendulum really anymore. I can just hear the yes or no when I ask the question. Okay, let me see what else I have in my notes. Okay, like I said, if you have, once, you know, if you want the physical tool, like once you have something, you can use anything. Like my headphones are always in my car, and I may or may not have my clutch. So I'll literally like pull it up and ask a question, you know, and it will just spin or do its thing. Or I've been at a kid's game and one of my kids will say, can you ask your pendulum? I'm like, I don't have it. I'm like, let me see, water bottle. Will you show me yes or no? And I'm not spinning it. It's just doing it. Obviously it's not going to whack the way that my other one was. Show me no. So it will stop, but I can really use anything. The other thing I wanted to share, it's funny because all the stuff that I learned about using a pendulum was through this beautiful book called Pendulums and the Light by Diane Steen. And I pulled it out maybe a week ago because I was like, I'll go through and, you know, take notes. And then I've been moving my house. This is my new little space that I'm in right now. And of course, I don't know where the books are. So I was like, should I spend time finding the books, or am I supposed to just, you know, I was like, should I spend time finding the books? It was like, no. And it was like, because I know what to share. Yes. So the books are somewhere, but it's cool to refer things. She goes through in depths of like all the different ways you can clean, all the different uses. And it was a really quick read. So if you're intrigued and you want more, or you just want to have a place where you can, you know, reread some of the things that I was saying, highlight stuff, have a reference, I highly recommend that book. And funny, I bought the book, I went on vacation, and my book went from page 58 to 77. And I've never had a book missing, like a published book. So I went back to the store. I was like, what happened? I need to know. Pages 58 to 77. You know, but you can use this with other things. Like I pull oracle cards. And so I did the pendulum first, but then when I started using oracle cards, I could say like, is this card for me? You know, are all 3 cards for me? Like you really can use it for any yes, no, and you can use it for other tools in whatever your offerings are.
Can I share? I was
ahead.
just going to ask if I could share a way that I use a pendulum in some of the offerings I have. I'm a Reiki master teacher, and I teach my students as well. In Reiki session, we use a pendulum as one of the ways that you can sense into the chakra system and see what's going on with the individual chakra. Along with, you can use your Healy to do that, or you can use some types of scanning where you're using your hands as the tool that's feeling the energy. But when we're doing this, we're using the pendulum over, either you have the person in front of you, or you've set up something in front of you that's representing the person, and put the pendulum over and have it move, or ask the pendulum to move to give you information about what's going on with that chakra. So what I found is that if your chakra is really healthy, it will be a big open circle like Angela's yes. And then if it's gunked up, it will act differently. So if it's really shut down, the pendulum won't move at all. It will just stand completely still over that chakra. And just by like using the intentionality behind your words, the frequency in your words, asking if it's stuck and it's all gunked up, asking it to open, balance, and align will get the chakra to start getting ungunked. So that the whole point of teaching my students to do this is that when they go in to do their actual Reiki session, they've cleared an energetic path that allows Reiki and them as a channel to work so much easier, because now they're not working through all the gunked up chakra system. It's ready to have that life force energy flowing in it. So I've found that the pendulum will feel into the spin of your chakras and whether they're wonky or gunked up. And I just wanted to share that as another way to use within other tools.
I love that, because I actually forgot that I do that offering. I've done sessions with people where I'm like, I could check your chakras, and I go through them all. And then some people, when I'm not in a Reiki session, will say like, what can I do? So then I'll hear things come up. So someone who's in a root chakra, you know, if it's closed, I'll hear like, should they put their feet on the grass? And then the pendulum will say yes or no. Should they spend X amount of time outside? And then you can go through each chakra. I try, like, if I get 3 closed, I try to be like, okay, we can revisit the other ones later. I don't want to overwhelm someone to be like, 6 of your 7 chakras in the body are closed. But thank you. Yeah, it's such a powerful tool. And I love you saying doing it before Reiki to open up space so that when you're in the session, things are moving.
Yeah. And then I also teach them to, if they want to, utilize it at the end of session to see like how has their session helped to shift the chakra system even more. And then too, you know, if you have a Healy, you can actually use the Healy to do that part of the checking the chakra system. I really love still relying on my own intuition. And so I love the pendulum. It's absolutely, no matter the Healy being a part of what I do now, it's still absolutely powerful for people to learn that they can do this themselves. Cause like maybe one day, like you don't have your Healy, or you're somewhere where you need this information more specific than like how the Healy pulls it out or something, that it's powerful to have that as well. But I love the idea of even layering in for my students, as you said, that second layer of, okay, this chakra is telling me it's gunked up. And then asking some yes, no questions there for my students who don't feel as connected or believe their intuition as strongly as I do after doing this for so long, where I'll hear those things come through and I just take note to tell the person at the end. But maybe if that's coming up, like you're hearing within yourself that the person needs to ground, and then you start doubting yourself because you're like unsure. So to have the pendulum to say yes, no to that's powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
And to go on the second note, I say, does the person need to put their feet in the grass? Yes. 5 minutes a day. Yes. 10 minutes a day. Yes. Once a day. Yes. So I can give someone a very specific, don't just say, go put your feet in the grass. They don't know how long, or for, you know, if you can say this would be really beneficial to do 10 days, 20 days, right? You can just use it in that way too, to give someone some solid, go do it in, like, here it is, the healthy prescription for you to move forward.
Like a custom, unique, I was going to say prescription, but maybe equation for them to feel grounded. Yeah. I like that. Thank you for sharing that.
So I don't know if people have questions. If you want, I really want to open up. There's not like tons of information. It's a playful thing. It takes time to, you know, really just connect and start to use it and see how many different places you can use it.
Thank you so much for this and letting me jump in and play with you guys. I think what I hear from a lot of the sharing is it's a tool in the toolkit, right? There's your Healy, there's your pendulum, there's your body, there's your intuition, there's the reaction from your gut, there's cards, and I just keep hearing, you know, we are our own best healers. We are our own best healers. And so the curiosity of adding a tool has brought me to go, oh, do I want a rose quartz one? Or so actually what's happening, because I've always used my own body, right? I've always used my sacral chakra to ask and answer these questions for myself. And now I feel like a kid in a candy store where I'm like, oh, okay. So it's really interesting what this conversation is bringing up for me is like, I'm going to go get something really nice for myself. So thank you for that. Thank you for that. It makes it fun, right? It makes it fun. Yeah. So
and pretty. And if you can have, you know, in that light, like if you're going to be asking relationship questions and you want to bring love into that intention, like then you have your rose quartz. If you want a more strong, like magical, then have a labradorite. Like it's fun. There's different shapes, you know, there's
Gift giving,
Metatron.
you know, clients that need tiger eyes. Like, yeah, it's so fun.
It
It's
is
just
really
so
fun.
thank you for bringing your love, your light, your energy, your fun, and always your wisdom. Thank you.
Mhm. Thank you. Christy, I think you had a question too, or wanted to share.
I was just wondering if there, like, where can you get pendulums? Are there certain places or stores where you would recommend not getting them because of inauthenticity or anything like that?
So I don't know what area where you live.
I'm up in Canada.
Okay. I mean, you can search on like we have a local store nearby called Crystalist Treasures, and they carry a variety of them. So first I would figure out, like, do you know if you're drawn to a brass one or a stone, you know? I think that Etsy is a place where, at least when I buy stones from there, I kind of check. And if it's from China, I don't buy it. If it's from India or Madagascar, I feel like it's more authentic, or, you know, a certain place. But it's really, I mean, some kind of like metaphysical store, crystal store, I think is your best bet. Or if you want to do it online. Do you guys have Etsy, right?
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, I have a couple of shops that I really love that I'll put in the show notes, that are reputable vendors of crystals and small businesses that you can support as well, if you'd like.
thank you.
So I want to ask something just so that it's here on the recording for others. My pendulum, I have a different language with. Yes, no, but it communicates with different gestures to me. And I don't know if I just missed that as everyone was leaving the house when you were talking in the beginning, but is it okay if we set a different yes, no move with our pendulum that maybe moves differently than a big circle and a small circle?
Yes, you can ask it. And again, like, this is its own energy too, right? So you can ask that pendulum. So if that is important to you, I've walked into a crystal store and literally, and that's why for me going in personally, I enjoy, because I can say, like, is this the one for me? And I'll get a really big spin. And then if I pick this one up and, you know, I get more of a small one, I'm drawn to this one. I feel like I've already connected. There's something about it. I grabbed it first, right? So there's like that acknowledgement, and you picked it up first, obviously. But yeah, you can ask, I mean, I can ask this pendulum, like, show me yes. And I was thinking of it rocking. So now it's showing the rocking. Show me no by stopping. And then you can ask it, like, will you show me yes and no this way? And I'm going to ask it to rock back and forth again, side by side, instead of swinging in a circle. And it's saying, yes, it will. So I'm glad you asked that. So can I just, like, show of hands to people? I know, Colleen, you said you're going to go get one. Jacqueline, Tracy, Christy, do you have pendulums? Nice. Nice, Ellie.
And my tip is also busted because my cat played with it one time and dropped on the floor. So now I got to ask it, does it still work?
Yeah, you just ask if it still works. And, you know, even like the little spinners on the bottom. Another thing I haven't paid too much about, because I just kind of trust like where it feels good for me to hold it. But the length for some people is really important, or the material. Robin was saying before, she bought this, it looks like a pendulum, but it's not. It's really like a piece for a necklace, but it's on a string, you know? And so you can use whatever material feels good for you for it to spin or to be, and just trust. Some of mine, sometimes they come with these little balls on the end. And on this one, it broke off. Like, it spun so fast and then broke off. So I had to ask, like, will it work? But those are all like little tactile things that you'll figure out, like, oh, do I like the feel of this? I used to hold it. I made the mistake one time. I was holding it with, not the mistake, I mean, it just was. I was holding the pendulum like this with the ball up top, and it like literally flew off and broke. And that's the other thing I will say, and I say this with crystals too. I make jewelry, so I say this with crystals too. When it breaks, if it breaks, try not to be attached to it and trust that maybe you're just ready for a higher vibration or a new energy in the tool that you are using. You may go into it and be like, okay, I'm going to start with clear quartz, just clear a few things. And you may not have the confidence. So that may feel like a safer, easier stone to work with. But like, then say it breaks and you go in, you're like, I want my tiger's eye. I got this bold, courageous energy now. So, trying not to have attachments and just being grateful for the pendulum for the time that it did serve you, and the gratitude that you can get another one and pick what that is now. I'm happy to be a reference point if people have individual questions as they're starting to work with it. Please feel free to reach out. We can get on the phone, we can Zoom, or just text through whatever you may be wanting to know. But it's really another tool, like Colleen said, it's another tool or treasure, I say, in my treasure chest that you get to keep and use as little or as much as you want. And you'll get as little or as much out of it as you put into it. So if it really speaks to you, go for it. I am a very visual learner. So when I was starting off, trusting myself and my intuition, even though I could hear the voice and like feel the pull to yes or no, it was really helpful for me to have like, see, okay, yeah, it is. I've said my prayer for my highest good and it's showing me yes. So like that visual affirmation. Or for other people who are like, what? Well, I asked my pendulum and I asked for your highest good and that's what it said. So you do what you want with that.
I have seen that there are several practitioners who have created pendulum charts for choosing your Healy programs. Have you experienced that, or what's your thought on using the pendulum to help pick programs to run with your Healy?
I saw it with Jaidev. Is that his name?
I think it's Deja.
Deja.
But I don't know.
Someone had that. They made it.
Ask your pendulum.
Yeah, I mean, yes, absolutely. I would do that more. He sells these like beautiful cards that you could buy and that I think come laminated. But I think if you're between two programs that you don't know, you could definitely just on a piece of paper write down this one or this one, and then see if it's spinning really fast over one, start with that one. Then you can say, would this one help? It will say yes or no. You don't want to have like all, however many programs.
Right. Because it's still just working off of a this or that, yes or no, not like, I'm trying to think of like what even show I'm thinking of where, I don't know, it's like magical and suddenly it's like ding to like the one that you want rather than, so I think that's helpful for people to understand too, if they are going to be using like the wheel chart that several people have created, that it's maybe you're still going yes or no over one, yes or no over one, rather than it like spinning and like magnetizing to one.
Yeah. Yeah. And, there are some programs with Healy, like the defense and the vitalization, right? Which to me are kind of a immune or energetic boost. They're different, but they have some kind of, so whenever I'm between those two, it's like, should I go with vitalization? Yes. After I see what comes up on the vitalization, should I do, is defense beneficial? Yes. So the other thing that you're making me think of that I want to share that I use with card readings, but would work in this light too, is I once learned a spread with oracle cards, like a future spread. And the woman knew what option 1 and 2 was. But we know that we co-create our lives, right? And we're limited in our thinking or sometimes our awareness of what would actually be in our highest good. So the way she explained it was she was doing a card spread and she had option 1. There was this house that she absolutely loved, who was totally her type of house, but not in the neighborhood she wanted. Option 2 was exactly the neighborhood she wanted, but it wasn't the house she wanted. So she had a paper, she had option 1 written, option 2 written, and then she had a question mark. And the question mark was something beyond my awareness. So she did a card reading for herself, and the third one, the question mark, came out with the best energy. So she said, like, am I going to allow my future to rest on the hands of these cards? But I'm getting a very clear message that there is something else for me that will serve my highest good. She leaned into it. She did not buy either option 1 or 2 houses. And then 4 months later, the house that she loved in the neighborhood she loved came on the market, and that's where she lives, right? So I'm drawn to share that because if you're going to be doing questions and we're talking about our highest good, and that speaks to you to go, I know option 1 and 2, but is there option 3 better? And then that will allow you to go, okay, I don't have to decide between these 2 right now. It's not in my highest good. I don't know what this is, but I will wait.
I feel like you literally just said that to me, for a situation that I'm in right now. So thank you for sharing that today. Cause like, as you're saying, I'm just getting goosebumps and being like, duh, I need I am literally in this situation, not with buying a house, but I'm going to play around with this today, and I'll let you know how it goes. It helps me feel into the truth from my highest self like that. I love that option when we're tangled, especially if you're a generator and you have this, that, and you're still feeling like there's something missing. Like the third option can get really confusing and tangled because we don't do well with more than 2 options in front of us. And yeah, you just gave me a nugget, a key today that I think is going to unlock me. Thank you.
Awesome. Yay. Yeah. When we're tapping into the highest good, we don't have all the answers. We just know what we know. And that's, you know, in the Healy community, in this last 88-day business container, there's so much, like you see people where we show up and we're capable at this level because that's like where we're at. But as we continue to expand and expand, there's so much more. And yeah, I'm glad that resonated. I was like, this is for Oracle cards, but I'm going to share it because it feels right. Are there any other questions? I want to respect everyone's time. And, you know, I'm just really grateful for everyone who showed up, and because I think it's such a beautiful tool and it's exciting and it's an easy thing to have with you, carry with you, share. It's great for kids, even, you know, when they connect to their highest good, though, you have to, that's like sometimes with my kids, the pendulum only works when I'm with them, because I'm like, they are just doing this for their highest good. And I'm monitoring the questions that they're asking so that it's not, you know, can we get ice cream today kind of thing. That's not necessarily for your highest good. Ellie, you did a really great job sitting still and being with us.
Yeah, it was fun to have you here, Ellie. I loved the energy you brought and the questions that you were brave enough to ask. Thank you so much for gifting us with your wisdom and knowledge, Angela. It's been such a beautiful experience to learn from you. And I'm sure everyone who is watching this recording as well would love to know where they can find you, where they can connect with you outside of our community chats.
Oh, you're sweet. I'm at Radiant Heart Center, VA right now, and on my way to being somewhere else, but I'll let you know when I get there.
I love that. And we'll link Angela's information, thank you, into the show notes so that you guys can follow her on social media and reach out to her if you have more questions.
Thank you. This was awesome. Thank you for hosting, Robin. I appreciate it. And thank you all for showing up for yourselves, diving in with curiosity and playfulness. I wish you the most joy and clarity with your pendulums.
So thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.